episode 1 of Paths to Enitan. Welcome. I am your storyteller tonight. I'm Kay. And I have our two players here, Sumi and Daria. Do you want to introduce yourselves for anybody who missed our episode 0 stream?
Hello, I'm Sumi, and I will be playing your resident pirate, Roshan.
I'm Daria, and I will be playing Leilana the Changeling.
Awesome.
Leilana the Changeling, sorry.
Awesome. And I will be playing Sabah, who is a mage as well as storytelling. Couple of quick announcements. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. If you didn't catch our episode 0 stream, which we did last Saturday, then you can go and check it out on our YouTube channel, which is Ready to Roll RPG, just like all the rest of our social media. We have a Twitter and a Facebook page right now, as well as our YouTube channel. All of our future episodes will go up on YouTube probably about a week after they first air, and we may be eventually releasing in a podcast format, but we are kind of figuring that out still. Thank you for the shout out, Occultist Anonymous, tonight. We appreciate the shout out. And tonight's music is provided by Ben Sound and Kevin MacLeod, and our campaign maps were designed with Incarnate. So, let's get into this and roll some dice. So, Paths to Enitan is set in a fantasy world, which is a little unusual for Chronicles of Darkness. So we are in the Kingdom of Antolia, which is part of the Four Kingdoms, and our characters are starting out in the sea town of Moya. And that is kind of a bustling town where a lot of trade comes in and out via cart and via ship. And so we are going to meet our characters there. We are going to start in the tavern and bathhouse called the Thermae. And the Thermae is a little bit more upscale. It is where a lot of the people who are looking to relax after a long journey go, and it services a lot of merchants, and luckily for our adventurers, that means a lot of money comes through this tavern. So as they enter this tavern, they might see a barkeep who's hustling around behind the counter, and a few other workers who are assisting the various customers that are there at the tavern, getting them drinks and food and whatnot. There are braziers that are burning throughout that give off light and heat, because while this is a desert kingdom on the edge of the Demir Sea, it does get cold at night, and so kind of settling into a cozy little tavern after weeks of being on the road with your merchant group, it's nice to kind of kick back and relax. So, Roshan and Leilana, as you come upon the Thermae, what do you do?
Take stock of the situation is what she's going to do. First thing is always just to make sure nothing seems to be out of sorts or going on that might need to be addressed or avoided for safety.
All right.
Roshan is just going to stroll right up to the bar.
What can I do for you, sir?
A cup of your finest grog, please. And I slap down 2 silver pieces.
Grog. We don't particularly serve that here, but I'm sure I can find you something acceptable, sir, if you don't mind a slight substitution.
Finest whatever this gets me, then.
All right. The barkeep rustles around underneath the counter for a few minutes and pours you a fairly large pewter cup full of some middle grade mead and takes one of the silver pieces.
I drink.
Would you like to start a tab with the rest of that, sir?
Why not? It might be a fun night.
The barkeep slides the other silver piece into his till. Do either of you sit down or speak with the other residents of the tavern, or perhaps take a closer look at any of the people who might be sitting in the tavern?
Well, as her primary purpose there is to actually meet up with her mentor elsewhere in town, she probably sits down at a table by herself so that she can just relax for a bit until it's actually time to go meet.
Roshan will take a look around. He needs to find... He just rolled in the town anyway. He needs to find a new job, a new direction. And people hang out here for a variety of reasons, of course.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking for someone who's sitting alone, probably. Or maybe has a burly so-and-so with them. Someone important looking who wouldn't really be here. That type.
So there is a older woman who is sitting to one side who seems to have some cards out on the table, and a few people have come and gone from her table, and they've exchanged pleasantries and a little bit of conversation and some coin. There's a group of well-off sailors. It's probably a captain and his first mate off at another table. And there's a handful of other merchants dotted around the rest of the tavern. And then there is a more mysterious figure sitting in the far corner of the tavern who has a bit of a cowl pulled up and seems to be trying to keep to themselves a bit more.
I knock on the bar. That other cup, please.
Of course, sir. The barkeep pours another glass for you.
I take it. First, I walk over to the woman
Mm-hmm.
with the cards, and I look at her, and I say, "Do you tell fate and fortunes, or are you playing games?"
I can tell you all sorts of things, sweetie. What would you like?
I want to know if my direction is to give this drink to a man seeking to not be noticed, or if I shouldn't even bother.
Well, sit down, my dear.
I sit.
She shuffles her cards a bit and lays a few out face up and looks at them. Well, I do believe that you are here to meet new people. I think you have a bit of an adventure in you, don't you? You like going and seeing new places and meeting new people.
More than anything in the world. Well, maybe not anything. But yes, I do.
Well then, I believe that fate is indeed directing you to go walk over and offer a drink to potentially a new companion.
I'm going to set the drink down for a second, reach into my pouch, pull out one of the very few gold I probably have, and offer it to her.
Oh, that is far too much. I couldn't.
Okay, well, I switch it out for a silver.
She looks slightly disappointed, but takes it.
My finger brushes hers, so I make contact. I'm stealing her luck. And then I put the gold in front of her as I take up the drink and walk over to the figure, and I put a glass down in front of this cowl figure and slide across from them.
Well, Sabah looks up at the younger man who has sat across from him and looks down at the drink and looks back up at the young man and just stares at him for a moment expectantly.
I believe we have something to discuss.
Do you?
You need a companion. I need something to do.
I don't believe that I was looking for a companion.
Okay. Bodyguard. Escort. Protector. Friend. I can fill a number of roles.
Can you? And what qualifications do you have for any of these jobs that you supposedly can do for me?
Well, I'm mighty accomplished in many things. I can hold my own. I can hold my own while watching someone's back. And I can hold a very decent conversation.
I don't need someone who can hold a conversation.
You always need someone who can talk to others. Smooth talk. Bribe. Convince. It's good to have a talker.
Is it? Really? In every situation?
Not every situation. I'll admit. I think, yeah. But in a lot of conversations, words are just as useful as a sword. But sometimes the sword is better. And I'm good at stabbing people. I drink.
And again, what makes you think that I would be looking for someone that would have any of the qualities that you hold? Just because I am sitting here in a tavern.
You're sitting here in a tavern with a cowl pulled up over your head, sitting alone in a place where you can see everyone else. And I spotted you, so it's fate.
Fate?
I nod. Fate. This works out better for both of us if we just go with it.
Does it?
I think so. I'm offering my services.
Did you speak to Belvar? Did he send you over?
I didn't catch the name, but someone directed me over here.
I'll have to have a conversation with that barkeep later. Look, what I need assistance with is very complicated and very difficult.
Not my favorite words, but I like a challenge.
All right, that's fair. Do you have any skills with locks?
I've been known to be able to get a lock open or two in my day, yeah. There was this one time. My lockpick broke. Which, those things aren't expensive, but it's hard to find someone who just openly sells them. Anyway, I've been had a bit too much grog, so I thought it would be a fantastic idea to take it to the crow's nest, this box, and I dropped it. Believe it or not, it opened.
Unfortunately, dropping a box off of a mast will not work in this situation.
As long as I have plenty of lockpicks. I just broke my last one. It was unfortunate.
Do you have any experience with spells?
I'm not a witch.
I'm not asking if you're a witch. And why would...
Witches cast spells. I'm not a witch. I stabbed a witch once. Does that count?
No.
Then, no. Sorry.
Look, what I really need is someone who is experienced with breaking magical spells to get into somewhere.
There's always a way into somewhere. Magic or not. And I'm good at finding ways into places.
Are you?
I am. And out of places. But if you... Okay. I can't get you through the lock, maybe. Maybe. But I can get you to the lock and make sure anyone else trying to get to it doesn't come within arm's reach of you. So if we can find someone who knows magic locks, we're golden. Then it's just a three-way split of whatever's inside.
No, the reward is not what's inside.
Why not? I mean, it's gonna be gold and things, right? That's usually how this goes.
No, it's not gold. It's a very particular item.
Oh, and you can't... Yeah, that wouldn't work, I think. Maybe? Bread works like that, but I doubt it's bread.
No, it's not
Fair,
bread.
Fair split payment, then. Whatever works. And a fair split of anything we find along the way.
Find along the way. Do you just expect gold to be littered along the road?
You never know what's gonna happen.
Right. I really need to speak with that barkeep.
He has decent taste.
Yes, generally. So, as Roshan and Sabah are discussing things, Liliana, a few of the tavern staff come by and try to offer to take a drink or food order. Do you order anything?
Yes, she'd order like a simple, a simple water and probably some bread, just something simple.
All right. The barkeep comes by and drops those off. And they are going to just come by and check on you every once in a while and make sure that you're doing fine. And eventually the woman who had her cards out is going to pack up her things rather quickly and come and sit down at your table. Well, hello there, dear. I saw you sitting alone. Is there any way that I could tell your fortune? Or perhaps you might be looking for a boy or girl, some sort of company for the future?
Liliana kind of considers her for a moment, looking only slightly annoyed that this person has come over and just invited herself to her table. And then she shrugs. I might be looking for where I might be able to find someone who needs some assistance here in the future.
Well, there's always those looking for assistance. She starts laying out cards on the table from her deck and looking at them carefully and looking back up at you. I feel that something is going to send you on an adventure, young lady. Whether that be fate or a strapping young man, you never know.
Sounds about usual. Yeah, it sounds usual, yes.
The fortune teller is feeling a little bit exasperated because this girl doesn't seem to be catching on to her spiel, and so she gets a little bit more aggressive with you. Can I read your fortune, dear? I really feel that it could help you get to where you're going and what you might be seeking.
All right.
Very well. So she shuffles her deck again and lays out 3 new cards. And on the first card is what looks to be a fairly well-off merchant man who's walking off into the distance. On the second card, there is a series of cups just on the field of the card. And on the third card, there is a fighter or a knight with a sword. These are all very good cards. I do believe that you will be assisting in acquiring something that's very important. Is that something that you do often? I do know that this tavern sometimes has jobs that are posted with the barkeep, and that way young people such as yourself can easily find their next line of work.
It is within my area of expertise, yes. And she did perk up. She does perk up at the mention of finding a valuable item.
Well, I do think that, and she turns to where Roshan wandered off to, I do think that if you perhaps go speak to those men over there, they may be able to assist you. Perhaps in what you're seeking and what you might find.
I may do that.
Well, it was very
Thank
lovely.
you for the advice.
You're very welcome, young lady. It was very nice to meet you. She carefully...
It was a very pleasant meeting.
Yeah. She carefully sweeps up her cards and picks up her things and kind of scuttles off to another table. Now,
Liliana is going to finish her bread and her water before she gets up and walks over to Roshan and Sabah's table.
So, then, trust me, the story has a point. Then, my first mate tells me, well, that's impossible to crack. What are you thinking? And I go, well, and then I stop as Liliana walks up to the table. I busted the oyster open with a cannonball.
with a cannonball. That's very interesting.
Rashawn isn't looking at you anymore, he's looking at her. And he stands up and pulls out a chair. Miss.
Thank you.
Sabah
She will sit.
Sabah glances at her and is slightly frustrated at the caliber of people that the tavern employees seem to be sending him tonight. Seems like Militissa believed that you might be of some use to our venture.
That does seem to be the case.
Do you have
Is it
any...
true that-
Go ahead.
Is it true that you're looking to acquire an item?
It is. I'm in need of someone who can get past some magical barriers that have been in my way in acquiring it.
Depending on the nature of said barriers, I may be able to help, but it does strongly depend. Certain magics are not my forte.
Well, we might be able to find something that can assist us, I suppose.
There, you found a witch.
I don't believe she's a witch.
I am not a witch.
I shrug.
Liliana just frowns at him.
Sabah sighs and holds out his hand to Rashawn and then Liliana in turn to shake their hands.
Because it's who he is, I'm doing a strength and brawl roll. Fortunately for you. Ooh. Never mind. That's 2 10s. Ooh. Okay. 3 successes on a firm handshake.
All right. Sabah doesn't really mind one way or another at the firm handshake. My name is Sabah, and I am hoping to acquire an item that lays in some ruins not too far from here. Unfortunately, it is protected by magic that I am not able to get past. Hence putting my advert with the barkeep.
Huh.
I have 2 questions.
All right.
One is, what do you know of the magic preventing you from obtaining this item? And the second is, exactly what are you paying?
I like the second question.
The magic is simply of a type that I cannot unfurl on my own. And payment only upon completion is 5 gold apiece.
Plus an even split of anything we find along the way.
Yes. Certainly.
I don't take full payment on completion.
Your food and lodging will be paid for on the way there. But until the job is complete, and until we get there, I cannot verify that the skills that the two of you claim to have will actually be valuable in this venture.
How many days travel from here?
It's south across the river. So, a week should take no longer than a fortnight. There and back.
How about this? 5 gold upon completion, sure. We end up being better than you think we are. 10 a piece.
You end up being better than you think you are.
No, than you think we are.
And how would that be judged?
You don't seem to have much of an opinion of either of us.
Well, I've just met you.
We impress you. 10 gold apiece. If this thing is really so valuable and it's so hard to get, it's worth more than 5 gold.
Perhaps.
So 10 for both of us if we impress you. And we'll agree gold upon finishing.
Sabah thinks about it for a few moments. Very well. I suppose if that is agreeable to you as well. He looks over at Leliana.
It is.
All right then. We'll start off in the morning. There are rooms here if you do not already have your own. However, there are a few things that I need to acquire in the market before we leave.
I have my own business here, so that is fine.
Do you want someone to come with you? I don't have anything else to do right now.
I suppose.
Saves me money. That way I won't go to the brothel instead.
Yes, that would be terrible. So, Sabah picks up his things. He had a pack down beside him, and he excuses himself quickly to go over to the bar and discusses a few things with the barkeep and points over at the two of you, supposedly making arrangements for your rooms for the night.
I smile, then I lean down and whisper to Leliana, if he betrays us, I say we kill him, take the thing, and make as much as we can with it.
I'm not against that.
Murder right off the bat. Wow.
If you betray us.
The, one of the tavern employees comes over to the table while Sabah is gone and smiles at the two of you. Is there anything else I can get for either of you?
A bowl of water.
A bowl of water? Of course, certainly. She had started to question it, but just stops herself and wanders off to go retrieve your bowl of water for you.
Is the bowl for witchy things?
I'm not a witch.
I just stare at you, waiting for an answer.
No, because I'm not a witch.
Is the bowl for non-witchy things?
The
Wink.
bowl is for perfectly normal things.
No one just asks for a bowl of water.
I just did.
The tavern employee comes over with your bowl of water carefully and a spoon, because she wasn't entirely sure why you were asking for a bowl of water, and carefully sets them down in front of you. Will there be anything else? I can show you
Nothing.
up to your rooms later once you would like to go to them.
How do I get a bath?
A bath? Oh, you would need to speak to one of the bathhouse employees about that.
Okay.
I can introduce you to China if you would like.
I think we have time before we go. Okay.
Alright, she leads you up a small set of steps that just takes you up another half level into the bathhouse portion of the tavern, which is far more opulent than the tavern is. This is where a lot of the wealthy merchants go to relax and conduct some of their business, and there might even be some shadier business that goes on in the bathhouse, as there seem to be some people who kind of stare at you as you are led by them, by the tavern worker. And eventually the little tavern girl stops in front of a little desk that is off to the side next to another entrance, and there is a very beautiful woman lounging in a very expensive looking overstuffed chair, and she just looks up at you and scowls a bit at the tavern girl and shoos her away. Is there something I can do for you, sir?
I think there is. Later tonight I'm going to want a bath, and I wanted to make that happen.
Are you staying at our lovely establishment, sir?
I am. Mr. Sabah is my employer.
Is he? Well. Very well. I can arrange a bath for you. She takes out a small book and flips through it a bit and kind of runs her finger down. I believe I have a bath available at just after nightfall, so in about 3 hours, if you would like that spot.
Perfect.
Will you be paying now, or should I have it charged to Sabah's account?
He said my lodgings were accommodated for, so you can charge it to his account.
No problem, sir. Can I have your name?
Roshan.
She scribbles down in her notebook. What are you rolling?
I'm trying to decide if I want to or not.
What are you wanting to roll?
I'm wanting to sort of find a way to convince her that if I'm taking a bath after nightfall, if business is slowing, maybe she should offer Mr. Sabah a discount. So I want to kind of persuade her to give him a bargain. After all, he's bringing business. That's always nice, and I mean, there's nothing strange or unusual about me being there. I'm incredibly good looking.
Wits and persuasion.
Wits and persuasion? Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that. Does my striking looks add to this since it's persuasion?
I'll allow it, yes.
Cool. And my specialty in bargaining. That's an awful lot of dice.
It is.
Ooh, I see. 10 and a 9. Okay. 2 successes.
All right. I have had a difficult time filling that particular spot, so I won't have to charge your employer full price, at least. This time.
That's all I ask for your wonderful, beautiful charity and kindness.
Of course. Will you be requiring any assistance during your bath?
Requiring? No. But if someone wanted to join me, I'd have no complaints.
I'll speak with the staff and see who may be available during that time.
No, I'll see myself out and not tie up any more of your very valuable time.
I will see you later then, sir.
I turn and I walk out.
Do you go back to where Liliana was?
I go back to where I left Liliana, see if she's even still there, or if she took her bowl of water and is doing witchy things with it. Because she's a witch, no matter what she says.
So Liliana, what did you do with your bowl of water?
She took it outside.
Okay. Then I'm left at the table.
Okay. So Liliana...
By the time he comes back, she's probably just walking back in with the bowl. It's now empty.
Okay. Well, Sabah has come back to the table at this point. I don't believe I got both of your names.
Roshan.
Liliana.
Well then, Liliana, since you said you had business elsewhere tonight, I suppose we'll see you here later. Roshan, I suppose we are going to the market together.
Let's be off so we can return for a good night's rest.
All right. Liliana, where are you going?
She would have, her meeting would probably be with, on a more abandoned area in the city.
Okay. So there are some ruins to the north of the city. So if you would like to head in that direction.
Yes.
Okay. So, and you are there to meet your mentor, correct?
Yes, just to touch base and to see if he's heard anything that she should look into.
All right. Well,
and just to spend time with her not dead.
Well, your mentor will be awaiting for you at your prescribed meeting place. It doesn't look like he has been waiting very long. He's kind of just looking around, making sure that there isn't anybody else about. Sometimes children come and play in the ruins, but it seems like most of them have retired back home at this point. So, because it's nearing dinner time.
And she walks up with her dog. And waves in greeting.
It's good to see you, as usual, Liliana. How go your travels thus far?
Nothing problematic. I've made a little bit of money on the side, but no interesting rumors on any items as of late.
That's unfortunate. I haven't had too much luck either, unfortunately.
I have just taken on a job that might lead to something interesting, although the employer actually wants the item for himself.
Well, I'm sure that with your talents you could always relieve him of it at some point.
Potentially, but without provocation, it would be in bad taste to steal something I've been hired to help him acquire.
You always do have such good morals still for someone of our kind. Well, if you think that this is something that would be worth pursuing, even if we can't acquire it, then I suggest that you go ahead and pursue it.
I'm hoping that maybe it will lead to other useful items.
That's true. When men go looking for powerful things, usually they don't stop at one, at least in my experience.
Right. And there are often multiple where somebody is hidden one.
Also very true. How dangerous do you think this is?
I'm not certain yet. He hasn't been forthcoming with the details beyond the fact that there is magic that he cannot bypass at the ruins where this item is being stored.
Do you know what type of magic? Did he happen to say?
He said spells.
Could possibly be something of our nature, but it could also possibly be something of some other nature just as easily.
Yes, so when he asked if I've encountered anything like that, I told him, or if I had experience with it, I told him that I may be able to deal with something like that, but without knowing specifics, it might be outside of my area of expertise.
He sighs and pulls out a kind of worn out map and holds it out for her. Well, it seems like this may be of more use in your hands if you'll be leaving Moya soon. It's a fairly old and battered map of Anatolia that seems to be fairly accurate, at least to your knowledge.
Thank you.
Of course.
She brightens and smiles.
Won't want you going off and getting lost, at least. At least not again.
Oh, never again, if I can help it. But I thought it would be worth telling you in case I do learn anything that may be of interest to you while I'm gone.
All right. Well, why don't we tentatively plan to meet back here sometime in the next 3 or 4 weeks? I can leave a message at our usual place.
I'll check for it then.
All right.
I should be finished with this in no more than a fortnight by his estimation.
Very well. Hopefully it won't take much longer than that.
That's what I'm hoping. He doesn't seem to be particularly impressed by the potential of the skills of his hired help.
Well, it's always good to be slightly suspicious, I suppose. Do you have any idea of where you might be headed?
He said not far from here and across the river.
Across the river. The old outpost ruins, perhaps. Well, you will have to fill me in on your adventure when you return. I do always love hearing your stories, after all.
Any excuse to catch up. We haven't much over the last year.
That's true. Well, alas, I believe there is a card game waiting for me that I hope to win a lot of money at.
Well, with the fact that you can easily manipulate a hand, given 2 extra arms, you should be fine.
Exactly.
She does give him a hug before she turns and jogs off.
He hugs her back and ruffles her hair a little bit and watches her go. All right. So does Liliana just head back to the tavern after this?
No, she'll head for the marketplace since she wasn't really gone that long.
Okay. So it's possible that they may come across each other again in the market.
Yeah, that's what she's kind of looking, so that she can see what these two are like a little bit more.
All right. Well, let's pick back up with Roshan and Sabah. Sabah has led them to the Matai Bazaar. It's one of the more mid-sized bazaars in the town of Moya, and there is a wide range of shops there that carry everything from food and drink and spices and fabrics and fish and more exotic goods like incense and fine jewels, and then there are some stalls that have things that are even stranger. There might be strange books, or some vendors even sell vials of blood. It's very strange for some of the merchants as they pass through if they aren't completely familiar with Anatolia or all of the creatures that inhabit Anatolia. And it's a fairly bustling market. You're probably going to bump into people here and there as you move through it.
I have a hand on my sword and a hand on my coin purse.
Sabah seems to be kind of in his element. He doesn't seem concerned at all, and he kind of beelines his way to a particular shop that has a little hand-carved sign hanging above it, and it's kind of set deeper into the market, and the sign says Ozir's Shop above it. And there's some vials of various things, elixirs and things in the window, and books, and it seems kind of eclectic, and like there's just kind of, you could find almost anything here that you may be looking for.
I just look at Sabah. Why are we here?
I'm dropping off a item that I acquired for the shop owner. He goes over to a counter that there's nobody at and finds a little bell and rings it. A fairly short, pasty looking man kind of tumbles out from, you assume, a cot somewhere in the back, and kind of gruffs about and wakes himself up. What do you want? It's too early for customers. I'm here to bring you your books, Osier. Books? Right, books. Did you bring anything else? No, Osier, just the books as we agreed to prior. Right. Osier comes up behind the counter and gets up on a stool so that he's about average height at that point, and rummages around in a big tome that seems to be his record book. And he's running his finger down a few pages and flipping to some other marked pages, and finally he finds what he's looking for and crosses it out with a pencil, and then takes a bag out from under the counter and holds out his hand to Sabah. The book now. Sabah nods and carefully takes a parcel out of his bag and sets it down on the counter. And Osier rips open the packaging and inspects it rather carefully and thoroughly. No mold? Do any of the books that I bring you ever have mold? Right. Nothing else? No, nothing else this time, Osier. Osier looks over at Roshan. Do you have anything to sell?
Can't say I do.
Well, you're human, right? Humans always have things to sell.
Are you a witch?
What?
I have nothing to sell right now.
You have blood. You can sell blood.
But I like my blood.
But I can give you money for it. Or something in the shop if you prefer the something.
I'll keep my blood this time. But if I'm ever hard pressed for money, I'll remember you, sir, and I'll sell you my blood first.
Good. I don't want your blood if you're dead.
Okay.
So don't put me in your will or any nonsense like that. It's useless if you're dead.
What's a will?
When you tell people that you're going to give them something after you're dead. Don't put your body in your will to me when you're dead.
But the person who kills me is going to steal all my things, so that's...
But
That
not your
sounds
body.
stupid.
Why would they steal your body? Your body's useless. Unless you have a bounty on you. Do you have a bounty on you?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
You swashbuckler types tend to have bounties.
I don't have one in Moya. I know I don't have one in Moya.
That's probably fair. If you'd had a bounty, I would know. I remember lots of things.
Careful, there might be mold on the desk.
What? Is there mold on the book? Sabah sighs. No. Does anything that I ever bring you have mold? Osier. No. He finally takes the book and puts it under the counter and pushes the bag over to Sabah, who takes it and puts it away. Do you have blood, Sabah? No, Osier. But I've got someone who would like blood. If you know anyone, you knew one, tell them.
What if I bring you someone else's blood? Will you buy that?
Yes. Generally, if they're willing. They don't always have to be willing. Some of them prefer it when they're not willing. But I don't advertise that, so don't tell them. that they can be unwilling.
I like you.
Why? What do you know?
Nothing. That's why I like you.
Good. I'm going back to bed. You woke me up too early. It's not even dark out yet. What's wrong with you?
I just follow my employer, sir, and I motion at Sabah.
You're employing him. Do you want to sell him? No, I'm not in the business of selling people.
That's
good.
That's not done in good countries.
It's done in every country. You just may not know about it.
People move around here too much for it to be done here.
That's exactly why it's done here. Don't you know the people who go disappear? He kind of leans over the counter and pretends as if other people couldn't hear him. They go and they disappear, and then sometimes they come back. But then sometimes there's two of them. Azir, I think you've been drinking it too much again, and I think it's time for you to go back to bed, and we'll be taking our leave now. Thank you again, and I will see you next time. Yes, I need more no moldy books. Of course, Azir. Thank you.
I open the door for Sabah to leave through at this point.
Sabah gratefully leaves the shop.
I follow, close the door, and I shake my head. I don't understand why people are so obsessed with books.
Because they contain knowledge and are worth quite a bit because they're very expensive to produce.
I still don't understand. I know plenty, and I've never read a book in my life.
Are you illiterate?
I don't know what that word means.
Means that you can't read.
No, I can't read. I can read a map. That's because it has pictures.
I see.
And it's useful. Where to now? Because if we're going for a lock, I need more lockpicks.
Yes, I do believe that there is somewhere that we could acquire you some lockpicks. I believe there's a shop just down this way. And Sabah points down another alleyway. It starts off in that direction.
I follow.
Sabah kind of pops his head into a few shops before finally coming to another. And this one is a lot smaller. And there seems to just be on display a series of chests that may be used by merchants. And there's some iron locks on display as well.
I look around for the shopkeep at this point. Wondering if I know them. Kind of hoping I do, since I have smuggler contacts. And this looks like a place they would frequent.
Well, there is a bony older man who appears behind the counter and kind of peers at you for a moment, and what are you doing in this town again?
I came down the river again.
Did you?
I did.
And who's this one? Are they trustworthy?
I don't know yet, but he's paying me. So I trust him to some extent.
Payment's always good.
How have you been?
I'm not dead yet, so that's good.
It's good to be alive. You can still find your fortune and fate.
I doubt that. The shop also hasn't burnt down, which is also good. Even though the Crown keeps insisting that there need to be oil lamps lit every night, even though this market is made of wood. Have they never been on a ship? Don't they know that open flame can be dangerous and that people are careless?
Maybe that's what they're counting on? No, that doesn't sound like the Crown. I think the Crown just wants things to look pretty. And oil lamps are pretty? I never understood it. I agree with you. There shouldn't be oil lamps. They'll light the chest on fire. And that's not good for what's inside them. Fire's only good for burning down your enemies and their ships.
That's true. Well, the older man kind of takes another glance at Sabah. Name's Corbel. I have looked after this one a few voyages before I lost my leg. He kind of pats his leg and it makes a clunking sound as if it's wooden on the ground. And then the captain said that I couldn't have my spot on the ship anymore. But that's all good because this one took the ship and then the ship burnt and sank into the sea, so...
Wait, it did?
That's what I thought happened.
Oh, they mutinied me. So if they burned to death, they deserved it.
What have you been doing and why?
I look over at Sabah and I look back to you. Fire. Fire's good for burning down your enemies and their house.
True. Well, what do you want this time?
I need lockpicks.
Again,
my last one broke. I already told him the story. The lockbox, I dropped it off the crow's nest. It opened. Inside, nothing was broken. But I need lockpicks. Because I'm going after a very special magic lock, apparently.
Magic locks. Well, lockpicks don't help you with magic locks.
Maybe not. But maybe they will for me.
You are always stupidly lucky when it comes to things, I suppose.
I follow fate's plan and it smiles upon me.
Yeah, you follow whatever the fuck you want.
True.
Well, I'll get you some lockpicks. I've got some stronger ones that came out of Kathkir this time.
I don't want anything from Kathkir.
But they're better.
Were they stolen from Kathkir?
I don't know. You can think that if that makes you feel better about your life.
Let me see them.
He goes down underneath the counter and heaves up a big tray that has an array of lockpicks in little containers and kind of sorted out, and he points to a particular section. These are the Kathkiri ones. They're the best according to all the thieves, which I don't know, by the way.
I look at them really hard. Is there any... I'm looking for any hint of blood. I'm looking for any hint of scorching. Something that tells me they were ill-gotten.
No, they look brand new, just like most of the rest of the array. The only difference is they seem to be made out of a different type of metal than most of the other lockpicks on the tray.
I'll take one of those. Give me a few of whatever's next best.
Alright.
No, wait. I'll take all of the Kathkiran ones, and I'll make super sure to pick Kathkiri locks with them. That's justice.
Right. Well, that'll be 2 platinum.
I look into my bag. from where I was before I sailed down, when I went over the mountain pass and sailed down the river, would I have found 2 platinum in the burning building? Because I pillaged that place on my way out.
It's possible. They might be slightly melty.
I give 2 slightly melty platinums then.
What'd you do then?
Fire. I didn't... Unfortunately, I opened the strongbox after I set the house on fire. Okay, correction. I didn't actually set the house on fire. But I did open the strongbox after I killed the owner of the house, whose house was on fire.
I always feel like I need a drink after I speak with you.
Because you want to celebrate how amazing I am. Also, don't worry, it was in Kathkir where this happened. So it's fine.
I don't care where it happened.
I do.
Would you like a bag for your lockpicks?
I'm just going to put them in my jacket.
Good, because I don't offer bags. Those frilly shops have started doing it.
I know.
Do you know they think they get more customers that way?
Let them think whatever they want. We all know where people actually go for the things that are important, like lockpicks.
Exactly. I mean, totally reasonable, logical people need lockpicks in their everyday lives. What if they lose the key to their strongbox while they're out traveling the wastes? Then they come to me to open their strongbox. And I don't care whether it was stolen or not. I don't ask any questions. I just sell the lockpicks.
And that's why people know you're trustworthy and dependable.
Exactly.
Count onable. Whatever the word is. Anyway, thank you for the lockpicks. I'm a pleased and happy customer. And I'll see you again with more stories.
All right.
Don't lose another leg, old man.
I only have one more.
Exactly. I slip them into the pocket of my very red jacket. With a happy stride, leave the building.
Sabah looks at Rashawn and seems to have something that he wants to say, but isn't sure how to word it.
I look at him for a second, and I just smile. When we get back to the inn, if you want, I'll tell you the story about the burning building.
Do you have something against Kathkir?
I think most people should have a problem with a country full of liars and murderers and disgusting thieves.
I see then. Is there anything else that you need?
No, I think the lockpick should be all I need.
Alright, then I suppose we should head back towards the tavern then. And find some supper, perhaps.
Then I can have my bath.
Your bath.
Yeah, I talked to the woman about a bath.
I see. Yes, well, you can have your bath then, I suppose, when we return. So we are going to take about a 15-minute break, and then we will be right back. So stay tuned. Again, we'll be back in about 15 minutes. And welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us through the break. All right, so we left off. Roshan and Sabah had gone shopping in the marketplace, and Liliana had gone and met her mentor up in the northern area of the city. And Liliana had been heading back towards the marketplace, but now Roshan and Sabah are kind of heading back towards the tavern. So, Liliana, do you want her to run into them still, maybe as they're on their way back to the tavern?
Yeah, I think that works fine.
Okay.
Roshan isn't hard to find. He's got that bright red jacket.
Exactly.
He's got amazing looks. He's very handsome. Stands out.
Mm-hmm.
Like a sore thumb.
Mm-hmm. So, as they are walking, as Sabah and Roshan are walking down the street, they, do they see Liliana, or does Liliana see them first? Because Liliana is smaller, so in a crowd it would be harder for them to see her, I believe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, she probably just sort of slips up in with them, with her dog.
Ah, Liliana. Seems you found us.
It wasn't hard.
You have
She
a
points
dog.
at Roshan.
Roshan just says, you have a dog.
Yes.
Huh. Wait. Was that what the bowl of water was for?
Yes.
Oh, okay, it makes sense now.
Were you successful in your errand?
Yeah, it was nothing complicated. Just a meeting.
Well, that's good. We were successful in our errands as well, so we're just headed back towards the Thermier.
That's fair. It is getting late, and food is probably a good idea.
Yes, the tavern's meals aren't necessarily gourmet, but they are decent fare.
Maybe a lot better what we had on the ship, so I'm happy.
I don't think I've ever had a gourmet meal.
Well, I suppose that we're all on our way back then. Roshan mentioned something about a bath.
Yeah. I scheduled a bath and got it at a discount.
How did you get it at a discount?
Well, apparently, the beautiful woman said that they've been having trouble filling the bath after sundown.
Mm-hmm.
So I offered to take the spot and convinced her that it would be best as a show of generosity, given who my employer is, to provide it at a discount.
I see. Sabah kind of nods a little bit knowingly.
Now, I'm certain, since probably none of the employees are actually going to be there, you two could join me.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
If there's one thing I've learned, it's you always want to bathe before going out on a voyage.
I do suppose that makes some sort of sense.
Just nodding in agreement.
And then with that, he turns on his heel and just starts marching back toward the tavern like he's the leader.
Well, they arrive back at the tavern, and the lamps have been lit, and it actually looks a bit more cheery and inviting than it did previously. The darkness kind of hides some of the blemishes on the older parts of the tavern, at least. And it's gotten a lot more lively. There seems to be a lot more people drinking inside and having dinner, and it's a bit more raucous as well. The fortune teller is bouncing from table to table, telling fortunes and reading her cards to patrons for coin here and there. And the tavern girls seem very busy, and the barkeep is definitely busy and seems rather flustered that evening as well when they come back in.
Certainly lively in here tonight.
It generally gets more like this in the evenings, I've seen.
Oh, we should find a table. Enjoy our dinner.
Yes, of course. Sabah heads back towards his back table that he had been sitting at previously, and it seems to still be vacant, luckily, so...
Pulls out the chair for Lalana again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She sits down, and this time she brought her dog inside with her since she's going to be staying the night. And he just curls up under the chair when she scoots in.
Well, it takes a little bit longer for one of the tavern girls to come over to serve you than it did earlier in the day because they're quite a bit busier. Can I get you anything? Oh, it's you again. You're back.
Yep, we're staying the night. Decided to have dinner.
Great. There's stew.
Perfect.
Stew is good.
And Mr. Sabah hates the stew. I will find something else. And she just wanders back off.
Huh. She knows you.
I've been staying here for a bit.
Rather forward, that one. Huh.
She's been nothing but friendly.
She sounded mildly annoyed that you don't like the stew, though.
Yes, well, luckily I pay well enough that they don't seem to mind all that much finding something as an alternative.
I lean over to Lalana. What's alternative mean?
It means something different.
Then why didn't he just say something different? Why didn't you just say something different?
Because occasionally people choose to use different words.
Gonna get a headache this next fortnight.
Perhaps.
Anyway.
So I take it you spent some time on a ship previously?
Yes, quite a few years.
And now you're not on a ship
That is also correct.
because your crew mutinied you.
That's correct.
That's unfortunate.
Yep.
Is there a particular reason that I should be aware of why your crew disliked you enough to attempt to kill you and mutiny you?
My greatest enemy paid them to.
Your greatest enemy. And who might that be?
I don't feel like talking about that. It's not important. He's not here.
Very well.
Maybe I'll tell you the story someday. Maybe. But he paid, I'm guessing he paid them an awful lot of money. Because I was the best captain. And, I mean, I suppose in a sense, they got double paid for it. Maybe he didn't pay them that well. That or they just got greedy.
Greedy.
Well, they were paid to mutiny me. And then they sold me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if maybe my enemy's more cheap than I thought.
I see.
Anyway, what matters is if what the old man said is true, they all burn to death. So my greatest enemy may have also double-crossed them, if that rumor's true. But yes, I was on a ship. And I became captain.
Became captain.
Correct. So this is the funny part. I mutinied the last captain, and then I got mutinied later.
I'm beginning to see a pattern.
Well, it only happened twice.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, my days of being a pirate are over. So now I'm doing this.
Yes. Seems rather good fortune that you're no longer on a ship to be mutinied or mutiny anyone else.
Exactly. What did you do before? I asked Lalana.
I travel around and do odd jobs.
That sounds familiar. Just here around Moya or elsewhere?
Just here. I know the area fairly well.
Well,
It's
starting...
enough to keep me fed and clothed.
That's admirable. I don't suppose either of you have been down towards your cult or the outpost there.
Not recently.
Roshan would have, because up the river is where his village burned down.
I know the area.
Good, because that's the direction that we'll be headed.
Are you going to want to sail upriver?
No, we'll be crossing
Okay.
near your cult. Luckily, the merchant road goes that direction. However, as soon as we cross the river, we're a bit on our own.
The area is not that bad. Until you get up into the mountains. Are we going into the mountains?
Not quite.
Okay. Should be easy then. Might run into bandits.
There seem to be bandits everywhere in this town, or country.
They move around a lot, but most of them stay near the mountains.
Of course, they go where it's easiest to catch people off guard without drawing attention.
I imagine that neither of you have horses.
I have a boat. Well, I had a boat.
Horses can be expensive to maintain.
I think I sold the boat when I rode in the town. Probably. That's what I did last time.
Well, the road is fairly easy from Moya to your cult at least, and we would just have to leave the horses anyhow. So we'll be traveling on foot. Rashawn, I believe it's time for your bath. I believe I shall retire for the night.
Liana, do you want to join me?
I suppose a hot bath would be nice.
Well, Sabah stands up and flags down the tavern girl and speaks to her quietly to just send his dinner up to his room, and then leaves the tavern. She then shortly brings the stew for Roshan and Leliana and sets it down in front of the two of them. It's a decent portion, and it seems like basic stew. There's some meat and potatoes and some other vegetables, and she also brings some ale with both of the bowls of stew.
Yep, just gonna eat that.
Yep. She eats half of hers and then sets the bowl on the floor so Dog can finish it.
Whatever little is left, Rashawn does the same. Just puts in front of the dog to lap up whatever's left. Then picks up both bowls and puts them back on the table. Finishes the ale, then heads for his bath.
All right.
She follows.
The dog probably can't join.
No, but he can nap at the entrance to the floor.
Okay. Going up that half step. Remember where to go.
Okay. Well, you come back to the little desk, and the bathhouse host is still there in her chair, lounging. I see you have returned for your bath, Rashawn.
Right on time as I promised.
And who is this? Will she be joining you?
Ah, yes. This is Leliana.
So are you not in need of additional company this evening?
He legitimately looks like he thinks about it for a moment. Not this evening. But the next time I'm in town, I'll pay full price and a half. If you'll be my company.
I'm afraid I don't accompany anyone in the bathhouse.
Maybe for a lovely dinner somewhere else then, another time.
She has a bit more of a forced smile. Of course, sir. Let me take you to your bath. She stands up, and she is wearing very lightweight linen-like clothing, and it seems to flow around her as she leads them to their bath. And it's a little private bath kind of set off to the side, and there's a privacy screen where you can change and leave your things, and the bath is steaming, and she points out a few different decanters that have different herbs and various aromatics that can be added to the bath depending on the client's pleasure. If you would like any drinks, there will be an attendant by shortly, and they can take any order that you have.
Perfect. As I imagined. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. She turns and leaves gracefully.
I look at Leliana once she's out of earshot and go, she likes me.
Possibly, but she is also professional.
So yeah, gonna ensure my coin purse is tucked safely in my jacket. My jacket's wrapped up nice and tight with all the pockets on the inside. Pants wrapped around. I'm making it as hard as possible to get to where my things are. And make sure they're slightly visible from behind the screen after I undress and get in the bath.
Alana just brings hers to the edge of the bath after she's rolled her pouch around inside of her clothes.
I just start to smell the herbs and just sort of sprinkle a couple in the water, thinking that's what I have to do. And I just enjoy. Start washing up. This is nice.
It is. I'm not used to bathhouses.
They're fancy and expensive. The river's free,
Exactly.
but the water's always cold.
Exactly.
Well, that attendant comes by shortly. And she's dressed very similarly to Sheena, the host. And she very carefully kneels down next to the edge of the bath. Is there anything that I could get for either of you? We have wine and mead, or ale if you prefer. It's all included with your bath.
Wine.
No. Nothing for me, thank you.
I'll take a glass of wine.
All right, I'll return shortly. She stands up and leaves again. And the two of you start to hear a bit of chatter that seems to be coming down the hallway, and it is Sheena, the host, along with another man, and he seems to be a bit portly and balding and dressed in extravagant finery. But he's also very pale and seems to not look well. He almost looks a bit ill, but he seems jovial enough and animated as he speaks with Sheena, and she seems to be giving him a certain amount of respect and attention, and they are walking past in the direction of your bath, and the man kind of stops her and waves at her to leave him. I hear that the two of you are guests of Sabah. Let me introduce myself. My name is Fatone, and I own this establishment.
And a fine establishment you have, sir. The best in all of Moya, if I dare say.
Thank you. I do take great pride in it. It's taken me a very long time to make it exactly how I want it to be. I hope that everyone has been taking very good care of you.
Yes, sir.
Good. Sabah is a very dear friend and a long-time customer, and I like to see that his guests are well taken care of.
I've never felt more welcome anywhere.
Good, good. Well, I do hope that the two of you enjoy your baths. And if you need anything else, please don't hesitate to ask any of the staff.
Thank you very much, sir.
We will do that.
Very well. He kind of continues.
What was his name again?
Fatan.
Okay.
He continues on his inspection, as it seems to be now.
Things our employer's more than I thought he was.
It does look that way.
Should have asked for 15. Maybe the next job.
You're already planning for the next one?
I'm getting... So, when I went out with him, he sold this dude a book. And the dude was the man was very, very, very... He doesn't like mold. He was like, does the book have mold? Over and over again. And who cares if a book has mold? You're not going to eat it. But anyway. I think Sabah finds and sells a lot of things. Which means we can help him find and sell a lot of things and get more money. And maybe I'll find something that I'm supposed to find.
That is worth noting. And not a bad idea.
I follow my instincts. They lead me in the right direction. Almost all the time.
At about this time, the bath attendant sets your wine down next to the edge of the bath, and
Is it red?
It's red. It's an entire glass of wine and then an additional decanter of wine for you. And she leaves it there without another comment and just leaves you alone.
I start drinking. Well, I think this is going to be a very, very good decision we've made. Yep. This is good. I just down the entire glass after my first tasting sip and pour myself more. I'm getting drunk.
I'm going to withhold my decision until we finished this job.
Okay.
That is fair.
After I sufficiently just decimate the decanter, it'll be finishing washing up. Be impossible for Liliana to not notice the fresh scars on his back before they finish.
She doesn't ask, though. Because it's not her business.
And after that, just, I guess, get out and go to bed.
All right.
Yep. She basically just enjoys the water when she's washed up until he gets out.
Get out,
And then follows suit.
dry off, put back on at least my pants, and head up to find the tavern girl, because I don't know where my room is.
Oh, Mr. Rashawn, you're back from your bath. How was it?
Wonderful. I met the owner. He's nice.
Oh. I think he's kind of creepy.
Don't say that to him, though.
Well, no, of course not. You won't tell him, right?
My
I
lips
heard
are sealed.
nothing.
You said you asked if we had a good time. You said I was incredibly handsome, and then showed us to our rooms.
Right, you need your rooms. I can do that. I'm very capable of doing that. She kind of looks towards the bar and then quickly starts leading the two of you up a staircase to where the rooms are.
Follow, stumble, follow.
Well, there's this one on the end, which is, I think, best for you, Mr. Roshan. And she opens the door and looks inside, and there appears to already be a customer in there, and she quickly closes the door. No, this is not the best one for you, Mr. Roshan. The best one for you is this one across the hall. And you can very easily get the impression that this is not what she is normally supposed to be doing, or that she's quite new at her job. She eventually gets both of you settled down into rooms that are adjoining, and she very keenly points out, a door that connects the two rooms together on the inside. And if you would like to talk to each other or do other things in the night without making others aware of it, then you can use this door, which is the sneaky door.
I like sneaky doors. Okay.
And miss, there is a key on your side so that the men cannot do sneaky things without your permission.
Thank you. She also has the dog lay down in front of the door.
Rajan will flush out a couple copper pieces and give them to her.
Oh, thank you. You really don't need to, but thank you very much.
You found me a room with a sneaky door. You deserve a reward.
I'm saving up so that I can get married. So this will go right into that.
Ooh, who's the lucky person, man?
Well, I haven't found them yet, and my father says that I'm not allowed to marry. But I'll find them.
Go to the Temple of Fate, pray, and follow the wind to your husband.
Where's the Temple of Fate?
I tell her where it is in Moya, because I know exactly where it is, even drunk.
Well, she smiles again and slips the coins into a pocket of her apron and titters off back down to the tavern.
I'm not allowed to use the sneaky door, am I?
No.
Okay. I'm going to bed now. You can go through the sneaky door to your room.
I'm just going to use the regular door, thank you.
Regular doors aren't sneaky, though, but okay. And with that, Rashawn's just going to lock his door, make sure his sword is by the bed, but furthest from the door, and in his drunken, slight paranoia, ensure that something noise-making is by the window, just in case, and then go to sleep and pass out in a drunken stupor.
Well, Sabah, rather uninterestingly, basically ate his dinner and went to bed, as he said he would, so... Don't make faces at me.
Well, that's about what Lilata does, is she makes sure that her dog is comfortable in front of the sneaky door, locks her door, and goes to bed.
Well, there are knocks on your doors first thing in the morning.
Should I roll stamina for a hangover?
Yeah,
I feel like
go
I should
ahead.
roll stamina for a hangover.
Yeah.
This is why you don't drink.
No, this is
Or
why
a
you
job.
drink, and then later blame past Roshan for his mistakes. I failed. I have a hangover. I answer the door.
It's Sabah. He has all of his gear put together and seems awake and alert and ready to start the day. Not super cheery, but...
Okay. 1 minute. Without even closing the door. Grabs all my things. Sword on my belt. Make sure my coin count is the same. Dunk my head in the provided basin for almost good minute before I pop back out. Towel. Walk out. Okay, let's go.
Lilia is probably already standing at Sabah's side by then. Dog and all perfectly alert. And lacking a hangover.
Well, luckily enough for the two of you, I managed to acquire some horses this morning.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Let's go. Ow, too loud. Too loud, I whisper to myself as I walk down the stairs. Is the barkeep there?
Yes, he's there cleaning down tables and whatnot.
I put a copper piece in front of him. Whatever that will get me.
Right, of course. He takes out a bottle and pours it into a mug for you.
It is a quick drink, glug, hair of the dog. Give it back, walk out. I'm gonna ride while drunk. Hungover.
Sabah is, not confident about how this first day is going to go, and making a mental note not to include alcohol in the rest of their trip.
Party pooper.
Yes,
At
well,
least 50% of their party did not get drunk.
that is true.
Technically, 66% of the party did not get drunk. Only 33.3% of the party did.
Well, Sabah leads them out to the side of the tavern where there's some stables, and there are 3 horses there with a stable hand, and they have some gear packed onto them already that will be useful for their travels. And one of the horses, which seems to be the more workhorse type breed, additionally has a little cart, Leilana, that has additional supplies and also a spot for your dog to lay down in.
She actually also looks longingly at that cart because she hasn't actually ever ridden a horse.
Look, Roshan looks at the stable boy and goes, which is the nicest horse?
The nicest? They're all nice.
Okay, which is the kindest horse?
They're horses, sir. I don't really know what you mean.
I don't ride horses. Which one should I go on? I
Oh.
drank last night, boy. Help me.
The brown one seems not mean.
I give him one of my last copper pieces and then get on the horse. I have like a gold and some silver left in there.
Sabah doesn't get on his horse yet. He is leading it by the reins along with, he realizes that he's probably going to have to take the cart horse by the reins as well as they get out of town at least. Liliana, do you not ride?
I never have, no.
Well, we can perhaps fix that in the future. But for now, I believe there's room in the cart for you as well as your pet.
She gives him a grateful look and climbs into the cart.
In the cart, there's some like heavier duty camping type things. There seems to be canvas that might be for a tent, and some heavy duty cast iron pans and whatnot, which could potentially be a slight problem for Liliana.
Ooh.
But the canvas is probably on top of those to make sure they don't rattle around, so it may not be at least visually obvious to you, Liliana, right away.
Yeah, well, as long as she's not touching it.
Whereas Rashawn actually does ride his horse. Not fast. You make sure it doesn't go fast. But rides it out of the town. Because walking, world hurts until the alcohol kicks in.
Well, they take the road out of town, which starts to wind south along the bay. So for a little bit. They are simply kind of rounding the bay as they come out of town, and there's fairly heavy traffic on the road with various other merchants and traders coming up and down the road in both directions. So it's probably going to be slow going for a little bit, at least until some of those people start forking off into other directions and the various caravans kind of find their pace as they get out of town.
Okay. So yeah, so it's a quiet ride for a bit out of town, and then Rashawn starts to think, finally.
That alcohol has kicked in and allowed him to think, has it?
Yes, the alcohol has kicked in and allowed him to think. You're all doomed.
Oh no.
Doomed.
But he thinks for a moment. Where are we crossing?
What do you mean? The river?
The Yakul River. Where are we crossing?
Doesn't matter.
Kind of. I mean, some points are easier to cross than others. It's not a very tame river.
Well, there's the ferry near Yakult, or we could take more time and go up towards the Reuben outpost and cross the bridge that's there.
Right.
However, that's going to add quite a bit more time onto our travels.
No, that's what I was asking, because we want to go the fastest way, so the ferry's the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That explains why we're going to lose the horses.
Yes. Generally, the ferries aren't large enough to carry any sort of livestock. However, occasionally the outpost will hold your animals for you if they have the space.
Do we go east or west from the ferry?
We're going to be going west. East, sorry.
Okay. Not really that way till Reuben, though, right?
We're going more east than Reuben.
And why don't we cross at the bridge so we don't have to pay the money?
East, not west. Oh. Okay. Reuben is in the west. Where we're going is in the east.
Oh, right. Sorry. Right. Okay, so we're heading towards the coast on that side.
Yes.
Okay.
To the ruins.
Can you tell us anything about these ruins?
I've been there a few times to attempt to retrieve this item, and they are unfortunately protected quite well by a various array of spells. It apparently used to be some sort of outpost, but hasn't been in use for near 100 years or so. So it has become quite dilapidated and been nearly consumed by the jungle at this point.
Why would a bunch of witches be at an outpost?
Witches?
Mm.
They're... Because this item is very valuable and somebody obviously didn't want anyone to obtain it.
Well, we're going to obtain it.
That is certainly the plan, yes.
So, what are the examples of the types of spells?
Some of them seem to be riddles that either the magic is faulty or is just something that I haven't come across yet. But then there are other spells that are a bit more, how do I say, familiar to me, but I don't have the ability to get past them.
I see.
Rumor has it that the riddles are something that was put on there by Lost, but those are just rumors, of course.
Rashawn just rubs his temples.
It's equally likely that they're the result of goblin or who knows, maybe even Dermid magic for all we know. Nobody that I'm aware of has quite seen anything like these spells or been able to come up with any way to solve them and get past them.
Well, I suppose we won't know until we've gone and taken a look.
If you know spells and you do spells, you're a witch.
I'm not a witch.
I give up.
There are more than witches.
That's what you call someone who does spells.
No, you do not call them witches.
A witch would say that.
Would they?
Yes.
Have you met many witches in your life?
I stabbed one.
You stabbed... When did you stab a witch?
Well, I was a pirate.
You're still drunk.
No, I'm... It's the pain after.
There are more than witches in the world that use magic.
It's easier to call everything a witch. You only have to remember one word. Witch. It's easier.
Unless you need to get information.
Why would I need to deal with anyone who does magic? I was a pirate. I didn't need magic.
You're dealing with it, right? You just took a job where you're dealing with it.
Unnaturals have various types of magic. That's why nobody's been able to solve this. Because it seems like various types of unnaturals, magics put together.
But then they just abandoned it?
Apparently. Nobody's been...
Abandoned it, they died,
That's
or
just
something else happened.
stupid.
Dying is stupid.
Leaving no one who knows the answers is just stupid. Doesn't matter. We'll find the answers, we'll get the thing, we'll get out. And we'll teach those unnaturals, I like witches better, that they can't stop us.
But we're not looking to stop them.
No, they can't stop us from taking their stuff.
But we don't want to take their things.
But we do. You're saying we're going there to take their stuff.
There aren't any witches.
My head hurts too much for this. Can't we just agree to call them witches till my head stops hurting?
Fine. Call the people that were at that outpost at one point witches. Fine.
Thank you.
Now, perhaps we should stop and eat something before we get too far.
This is true.
We'll also allow some of the merchant traffic to die down a bit. They tend to thin out towards the latter part of the day.
Good idea.
Sabah kind of leads them to a little off turn on the side of the road that there's a couple of trees, and he gets off his horse and takes out some bread and some cheese and a water skin, and he takes out a leather bag-like contraption and pours some of the water from the water skin into it and gives it to his horse.
Huh.
And once his horse is done drinking from it, he passes it off to one of the others to make sure that their horses get water as well.
Lilana, we'll let Roshan go first.
Yeah. Fills up the water thing, puts it on his horse, takes a swig for himself, passes it to Lilana, grabs some cheese and bread. How stable are the trees?
They're palm trees, so they're a little bit spiky and not fun to climb.
Darn. I'll sit at the base of one of them, just keeping an eye out, being lookout while they're on their little breakfast break. Watching the merchants, but also off, because there's some nearby hills or a small mountain range, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the...
Lilana waters her horse and her dog, and then she just kind of perches on the edge of the cart with her legs hanging over the side.
He's just watching out for danger.
Well, there are a couple of merchant groups that kind of pass by, and then it seems like for a little while there isn't really anybody around, and then a single rider on a horse starts coming up on the spot where you're resting.
I'm gonna give him a once-over with wits and composure.
Okay.
And Lilana's going to do the same.
Can I add... So, there's a loaded question.
Mm-hmm.
Do I get danger sense dice for a possible ambush or threat?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, let's see. I gotta calculate my stuff. Let's see, that's plus 1.
2 successes.
Alright, I gotta do 6 dice.
I had 8 dice and I got 2 successes.
Okay.
I also have 2 successes.
So the rider's still a bit far off, and they seem to be dressed in clothing that both of you would probably be familiar with as somebody who probably travels quite a bit. It's what looks to be like a faded cloak to protect from the elements, but they also seem to have a decent amount of weapons and supplies on them as well. They have a couple of big packs on their saddles, and you can at least see a sword for this person. The rider seems to be quite tall and seems to be able to handle themselves quite well on their steeds, so they seem to be quite experienced. They aren't riding at you like quickly or in a way to try to like ambush you or take you off your guard. They just seem to be riding towards you at a normal pace that most of the other people on the road have been taking. So
I grab a rock. And just palm my rock.
a rock.
If these are palm trees and there's a coconut on the ground, I'll grab that instead. But I figure there should be a rock.
Yes, there's probably a rock nearby that Roshan can take. Liliana?
She's just going to stay where she is, keeping her eyes on him, because she doesn't use weapons. She doesn't need them.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot to roll for Roshan. Okay. Roshan got 3 successes. So he's at about the same place as you two are, of noticing and thinking that this could potentially be dangerous. Well, the rider comes upon your little party and pulls the reins back on their horse, and you can finally see that the rider appears to be female and probably looks foreign to Roshan and to Liliana. She seems to be Roshan, you would probably know that she is from Dermid, or looks as if she's from Dermid. Liliana, you're not as familiar with people from other countries, so you may know that she's foreign, but won't be able to tell necessarily where she's from.
Nope.
I'm gonna stand at this point and nod. I'm not gonna speak. The employer should speak.
Sabah has also gotten to his feet at this point and has kind of nodded in greeting as well to the rider. She dismounts from her horse, but she has one hand kind of at her side where her sword is as she dismounts and kind of appraises the three of you.
Do you want me to roll to hide my rock?
You can. Are you trying to hide your rock?
Yes.
Then yes, roll to hide your rock.
Best question I've ever asked. Would this be a larceny or stealth roll? Since I'm trying to
Stealth.
palm it. Okay. Not a great roll for Roshan. He's not sneaky. I'm not hiding the rock at all. It's just sort of like in my hand, and I have it pressed to my side, but it's there.
Did the lot of you come from Moya just now?
Who's asking? And
I
why?
am.
Should we not introduce ourselves? Okay, guess not. Why do you want to know?
Because I was sent after a party that just came from Moya.
For what reason?
To hand over a message, even though I'm not an errand girl. Someone has deemed to make me one.
You're an awful long way from home to be an errand girl.
Well, sometimes you have to take work where you can get it.
I can understand that. He shrugs, flashing his rock. Not even trying to hide it. Or thinks he's being super stealthy. Alright. Plenty of merchants left. We are a group that left from Moya. Give us the message.
She goes to her belt and out of a pouch, she takes out a scroll. Which one of you, Sabah? Sabah kind of sighs. Ozir has a special request for you.
I relax. I drop the rock.
She looks down at the rock that you just dropped and then back up at you and then turns her attention back to Sabah.
I smile charmingly.
He said you had something for me in return for the message. Sabah sighs again and goes over to one of the saddlebags on his horse and takes out the package that he got from Ozir.
This seems awfully complicated.
Well, things do get mighty complicated sometimes. And sometimes you end up running errands that you shouldn't have to be running.
Very far from home.
You've said that already.
It's important.
Why?
If you were from this country, or the one south, or the one to the west, it'd be predictable.
Do you have something against where I come from?
Not at all. I've never met many from your country up north. That's all. I'm just surprised.
Not many of us come down.
Like I said, surprised.
Mostly because we don't think it's worth our time to mix with the lot of you.
Ow. Mean. But your ships are mighty well guarded. So you deserve some credit.
She narrows her eyes at Roshan.
Everyone's heard of the reputation of your country and your ships.
She looks at the three of them all again. And takes the package from Sabah, and Sabah takes the scroll from her.
Liliana just kind of shrugs somewhat apologetically.
Well, it seems like this is the end of our business. Ozir said to tell you that if I'm needed, you can find me where he normally sends his messengers. I do hope you know where that is. Sabah kind of sighs again and says, Yes, normally he sends them out to Reuben to await further instructions. Reuben, lovely. Never been there before. I'm sure I'll dislike it as much as the rest of this God-forsaken country.
You probably will with that attitude.
I'm sure.
Have a miserable time.
She just glares at you as she gets back on her horse and rides off in the direction that you were all still headed.
Must you?
With her, yes.
You shouldn't antagonize strangers that you don't know anything about.
It would help if she wasn't so cryptic and negative. All she had to do was be like, are you Sabah? And we would have been like, oh yes, of course, who are you? I would have still had my rock. And if she was friendly, we would have been pleasant. If she was... not, we'll deal with it. Besides, she probably actually might like Reuben. It's not a bad city.
Well, Sabah undoes the seal on the scroll that he was given and takes a look at its contents. And it's actually 2 scrolls that have been rolled together. And he looks at the first one and kind of rolls his eyes. Ozia has a pixie infestation again. Well.
Why is he just crushing with some books?
He wouldn't want his books to be damaged. And some of the pixies like to nibble on them, apparently. Sabah just crumples that one up and kind of tosses it aside. And then looks at the second scroll. Well, this is actually useful. It is the answer to one of the riddles for the spell.
Oh, really?
Hopefully. You can never know with Ozia whether it actually is going to work or not.
Only one way to find out.
Very true. And I think for tonight we are going to wrap up there before our adventurers continue down the road towards the ruins across the river. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in for episode 1 of Paths to Enitan. Again, we will be posting this episode and future episodes on our YouTube channel, which is Ready to Roll RPG. You can follow us on Twitter and on Facebook at Ready to Roll RPG as well. We would like to thank Occultist Anonymous again for the shout out and for coming and joining us in the stream tonight. Thank you. And tonight's music was provided by bensound.com and Kevin McLeod. And our campaign maps were created in Incarnate. So again, please follow us, and we will be back here again next Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Thank you very much.
Good night, all you witches out there.
Bye-bye.